As many of you know, one of the things that I and the Congress had worked on over the last few years, the last few months, I should say, are brought very strong sanctions against Iran, which we voted on and passed a few months ago. And they actually are working. We're beginning to see that companies that previously invested in Iran are now not there anymore, and I think it's actually having a major impact in weakening the Iranian government.
Iran cannot be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons. Iran acquiring nuclear weapons not only threatens Israel, but threatens the United States. We need to do everything in our power as Americans to stop that, and we need complete cooperation from the Iranian government today. I would not rule out a preemptive strike. They cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons and attack the United States. After September 11, 2001, we have a completely different world. We cannot allow these kinds of shenanigans to go on, where people say they're cooperating, but then do not cooperate with inspections. They are not forthcoming with information. We have to take care of America first.
Ms. Little, would you explain, or would you detail your position on abortion?
Sure. Life begins at the moment of fertilization. In the preamble to the Constitution, we have rights that are inalienable, that are given to us by a Creator. I call him God. And that Creator has given us rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our founding fathers wrote that in the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. Every human being has those inalienable rights. If you put two dogs together, you get a dog. If you put two cats together, you get a cat. And if you put two people together, you get a person.
I am pro-choice. I believe that it's a woman's right to decide whether to have abortion. But I will point out that it's hard for me to figure out where Ms. Little stands on this issue. If you read today's Star Ledger, and I quote, it says, sometimes she trips over herself as with abortion. Here's what she told NJN's Michael Aaron, quote, the abortion decision is something that is best kept between God, a woman, and her doctor. I do not believe it's appropriate for government to intrude there. But a few days later, she told the Star Ledger's editorial board that abortion is murder and that the federal government should ban it from coast to coast. Quote, I would have a hard time putting a woman in jail until she delivers, Little says. Now, I have to be honest, my position is clear. I'm pro-choice. I don't know what Anna Little's position is. It sounds like at NGN she was pro-choice, and it sounds like at the Star Ledger she was anti-choice. Beyond that, this notion of putting a woman in jail until she delivers is very disconcerting to me. I've never heard anyone suggest that they would remotely even contemplate putting a woman in jail until she delivers, and the very fact that she raises that is very upsetting to me, frankly.
Let's go back to unemployment and finances. What is the true unemployment number in the country? What has Congress really done to reduce these numbers?
Well, the unemployment rate now hovers, I guess, around 9.6%, but I do agree that number may not be accurate completely because a lot of people are simply not looking for jobs anymore. So, you have to take that into consideration. But I think that we've done quite a bit in the Congress. I mean, first of all, we passed the Recovery Act, many of you know it as the Stimulus Act, which created or saved about 3 million jobs in the country. That bill did a lot of construction work. A lot of it was for money for mass transit, new roads and highways, repairs of existing highways in the 6th Congressional District. In addition to that, we've been trying to encourage small business to hire people. We passed a bill called the Hire Act, which which says that if you're a small business and you hire somebody who's been unemployed for 60 days or more, then you don't have to pay payroll tax for a period of time. And it even goes up depending on how long you keep that person. We just passed a Small Business Jobs Act. The President came to Edison in August and promoted that bill. It was signed about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that goes far towards giving credit through community banks to small businesses, giving them tax credits for new startups, for expanding businesses. And as I said before, the main thing is we have to make things here in the United States. So I've also plugged up past legislation that plugs up loopholes to prevent jobs from going overseas.
Unemployment at 9.5% is a pass-through percentage. That does not mean unemployment has stopped. It does not mean the economy has stabilized. You have more people coming in as unemployed into those programs. You have people moving out of those programs onto either public assistance, underemployment, or the help of family and friends. This is a critical moment in American history. We need to do something about getting America back to work. Now, I would also call into issue the suggestion that this particular administration and the congressman included are for small business. You see, we are facing, just now, in January of 2011, 3 huge waves of tax increases. The first will be the expiring of the 2001 and 2003 tax cuts, which will result in income tax increases, the bulk of which will hit the lower income areas, those who are struggling the most. Capital gains and dividend rates will also go up. That will stifle economic growth. One further, the child tax credit will be cut in half, again hitting the lower income families. This is not a pro-business, small business, nor a pro-middle class administration, or the congressman has misspoken.
What specific plans do you have to bring jobs to New Jersey?
The first plan I have is to cut government spending and cut taxes. I would continue the existing tax cuts that I just described to avoid those increases that I described. I would make a further tax cut to the 10 or 15% rate to send a message back to small and mid-sized corporations that there is a difference in Washington and it's okay for them to extend jobs to Americans and continue to grow. Most job growth will occur and does occur at the small business and mid-sized business level. The whole point of going into business is to make a profit and grow, and every large corporation used to be a small business. That's how it works. Further than that, I would want free competition. I'm a free market proponent when it comes to the economy. Competition and consumer demand is the best way to run business. Government needs to get out of the way. We need to revisit regulations and make sure we are not stifling economic growth. And Obamacare stifles economic growth. Small businesses with less than 50 employees, if the business owner tries to expand by having 2 separate companies, those employee bases will be combined. He or she will have to combine they will have to comply with Obamacare, and they will therefore not open those businesses. There will be no economic growth under Obamacare, which I call Pallone care.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think the theme has to be make it in America. I'm sorry. The theme has to be make it in America. We have to have a national manufacturing policy. We have to plug up tax loopholes and send jobs overseas. We have to look at high-tech areas. And one of the ones that I mentioned before is green jobs, renewable resources. In other words, if we put emphasis on renewables like solar, windmills, offshore windmills, geothermal, we can manufacture the wind turbines here. We can also manufacture solar panels. I also think that for our district, for the 6th Congressional District, it's very important that we have a clean environment. And so I think we have to clean up the toxic waste sites. We have to go after brownfield sites that then can be basically recycled, if you will, and made into good industrial sites or commercial sites. And that's why I've sponsored a bill to renew the Superfund That's why I've sponsored another bill to expand brownfields, so money comes back from the state so we can clean up those sites and use them for useful industries and businesses. Also, I'm very much in favor of helping the tourism industry because we're very dependent on tourism industry. I think we could use another stimulus type proposal, which I call the Coastal Jobs Creation Act, which basically will look at some of the towns in our district and use that money to rebuild the waterfronts, to do historical preservation, to clean up marine debris, and to also help our fishing industry. So there are a lot of things that we can do.